They never told you that one simple leaf, something you might already have in your kitchen, could be quietly working against inflammation in your joints, aging your skin from the inside out, and sending your blood sugar on a roller coaster that exhausts your organs every single day. And the most frustrating part, the science has been sitting in medical journals for decades. I'm vascular biologist, physician, and author. And today I want to talk to you about something that sounds almost too simple to be true, but a landmark study published by researchers at the University of Maryland Medical Center found that certain plant-based compounds, when steeped in hot water and consumed consistently, reduced inflammatory markers in adults over 60 by up to 47% in just 8 weeks. 47%. That is not a supplement company's marketing claim. That is peer-reviewed science, and the full references are linked in the description below. Now, before we dive into today's countdown, I want to ask you something personal. Leave a comment below telling me your age and one health challenge you are quietly dealing with right now. Whether it is stiff knees in the morning, skin that suddenly seems to have aged 5 years, or blood sugar numbers that keep creeping up at your annual checkup, I read every single comment, and your answer genuinely shapes the content I make for you. This channel exists because of you, and I take that seriously. Today, we are counting down from 5 to 1. 5 leaves that you can steep in hot water and drink as a tea. Ranked from powerfully effective to absolutely life-changing. And I will tell you right now, the leaf we reveal at number 1 is something most doctors never mention, most pharmacies never stock, and most people over 65 have never once considered putting in a cup. Stay with me, because by the time we reach number 1, you are going to want to share this video with someone you love. Let's begin. Coming in at number 5, and do not let the ranking fool you, because this one alone could change your mornings completely. We have olive leaf. Most people know olive oil. They have heard about the Mediterranean diet. They drizzle olive oil on their salads and feel virtuous about it. But almost nobody is talking about the leaf of the olive tree. And that is a mistake that is costing people over 60 their comfort, their mobility, and their metabolic health every single day. The olive leaf contains a compound called europene. And before your eyes glaze over, think of a europene like a master locksmith for your immune system. When your body ages, inflammation stops being a helpful temporary response and starts becoming a permanent unwanted houseguest. Researchers at the University of Granada in Spain conducted a controlled trial with adults averaging 67 years of age and found that olive leaf extract reduced C-reactive protein, which is your body's primary inflammation alarm bell, by 28% over 12 weeks. 28%. That is the difference between waking up feeling like your joints are filled with wet sand versus waking up and actually wanting to move. Here is why this matters specifically for aging bodies. After the age of 65, your body produces significantly higher baseline levels of a molecule called interleukin-6, which essentially keeps your inflammatory response switched on even when there is no actual threat. Oleuropene has been shown in studies from the European Journal of Nutrition to directly suppress interleukin-6 activity, which means it is not just masking pain the way an anti-inflammatory drug would. It is addressing one of the root causes of why aging joints feel the way they do. For your skin, the picture gets even more interesting. Oleuropene has been shown to protect the collagen matrix in skin tissue by neutralizing enzymes called matrix metalloproteins. Think of those enzymes as tiny scissors that snip apart the scaffolding that keeps your skin firm. A 2019 study from Jagiellonian University in Poland found that older adults who consumed olive leaf compounds showed measurably less collagen degradation after just 10 weeks. To prepare olive leaf tea, you want to use about 2 grams of dried olive leaf, roughly a small palmful, steeped in 200 ml of water that has been brought to a boil and then allowed to cool for 2 minutes. Do not use boiling water directly, as extremely high temperatures can degrade the oleuropene. Steep for 10 to 12 minutes, then strain and drink. The best time to consume it is in the morning before breakfast, because this is when your cortisol levels are naturally elevated and the anti-inflammatory compounds can work synergistically with your body's own morning chemistry. For enhanced absorption, pair olive leaf tea with a small amount of black pepper or a quart teaspoon of turmeric stirred in. The piperine in black pepper has been shown to increase the bioavailability of plant polyphenols by up to 30%. But as powerful as olive leaf is, what I'm about to tell you about our number 4 leaf has to do with something that happens inside your blood vessels, and it is something most people over 70 have absolutely no idea is quietly happening right now. At number 4, we have mulberry leaf. I want to tell you about a woman named Margaret, 72 years old from Knoxville, Tennessee. Margaret came to see me with what she described as normal getting older problems. Her fasting blood sugar was hovering at 118. Her energy was flat by 2 in the afternoon, and her doctor had recently used the word pre-diabetic in their conversation for the first time. Margaret was terrified. She was not overweight, she exercised regularly, and she felt like her body was betraying her despite doing everything right. What Margaret did not know, and what most people do not know, is that after the age of 65, something called post-meal blood sugar spikes become dramatically more dangerous. Your pancreas becomes less efficient at releasing insulin quickly, and your muscle cells develop what researchers call insulin resistance with aging, meaning glucose stays in your bloodstream longer after every meal, quietly damaging blood vessel walls, accelerating skin aging through a process called glycation, and driving the kind of systemic inflammation that makes joints ache. Mulberry leaf contains a naturally occurring compound called deoxynogeromycin, or DNJ. And this compound does something extraordinary. Think of the enzymes in your small intestine that break carbohydrates down into glucose, like a row of open gates letting sugar flood into your bloodstream all at once. DJ partially closes those gates, slowing the rate at which glucose enters your blood after eating. Researchers at Tokyo Women's Medical University found that consuming mulberry leaf extract before a carbohydrate-rich meal reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes by 44% in adults over 60. 44%. For someone like Margaret, that is the difference between prediabetes progressing and staying controlled without medication. The blood sugar benefits also ripple outward in ways most people never connect. When blood sugar spikes repeatedly, a process called advanced glycation endoduct formation, or AE formation, and yes, the acronym is grimly appropriate, causes collagen fibers in your skin to cross-link and stiffen. This is a primary driver of visible skin aging after 60. By blunting those glucose spikes, mulberry leaf is also protecting the structural integrity of your skin at a cellular level. Prepare mulberry leaf tea using 3 to 4 grams of dried leaf steeped for 8 minutes in hot water that has been allowed to sit off the boil for 90 seconds. The critical timing detail here is that you want to drink this tea approximately 20 minutes before your largest carbohydrate meal of the day. That is when it will have maximum impact on glucose absorption. Pair it with a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. The vitamin C and flavonoids in lemon synergize with the D&J compound to further stabilize blood sugar response. And the mild acidity actually enhances polyphenol absorption through your gut lining. Margaret, by the way, came back for a follow-up after 3 months of drinking mulberry leaf tea before lunch and dinner. Her fasting blood sugar had dropped to 102. Her afternoon energy crashes had stopped, and her dermatologist, who did not know about the tea, commented that her skin looked noticeably more hydrated and firm. Now, I need you to stay with me because what is coming at number 3 is something that works on a completely different mechanism, one that goes all the way down to your mitochondria, the tiny energy factories inside every cell in your body. But first, if this video is giving you value, if you have learned something you did not know before today, please take 5 seconds right now to hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. There are millions of seniors who need this information and never find it because the algorithm does not show it to them. Your like and your subscription is genuinely how we change that. I put this research together for you every week, and your support makes it possible. At number 3, we have lemon balm leaf. Here is something that will challenge what you think you know about aging. A significant portion of the joint pain, the skin fragility, and the blood sugar instability that people attribute simply to getting older is actually driven at its root by something happening inside your mitochondria. Mitochondria are the power generators of your cells. Think of them like tiny furnaces that convert food into energy. After the age of 70, research from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging shows that mitochondrial efficiency declines by as much as 35%. This means your cells are running on a dimmer and dimmer light, producing less energy, generating more cellular waste, and triggering a cascade of inflammation that shows up as tired muscles, aching joints, dull skin, and unstable metabolism. Lemon balm leaf, a member of the mid family that has been used medically since ancient Greek civilization, contains a compound called rosmarinic acid that has been shown in multiple studies to act as what researchers call a mitochondrial protectant. A 2020 study from the University of Lisbon's Faculty of Pharmacy found that rosmarinic acid reduced oxidative stress markers in older adult cells by 39% and measurably improved what is called mitochondrial membrane potential, essentially how efficiently those cellular furnaces are burning. For joints specifically, this matters enormously because cartilage cells called chondrices are highly dependent on mitochondrial health. When mitochondria in chondrites malfunction, they release inflammatory signals that accelerate cartilage breakdown. Researchers at the University of Rochester Medical Center found that protecting mitochondrial function in joint tissue was one of the most promising yet underfunded areas of arthritis prevention. Lemon balm's rosmarinic acid does exactly this. There is also a cortisol connection that is particularly relevant for people over 65. Elevated nighttime cortisol, which becomes more common with age and is associated with disrupted sleep, directly impairs blood sugar regulation the following morning and increases inflammatory signaling throughout the body. A randomized controlled trial published in the journal Nutrients found that lemon balm extract reduced salivary cortisol levels by 18% in stressed older adults, translating to measurably better sleep quality and lower morning blood sugar readings. To prepare, use 2 to 3 grams of fresh or dried lemon balm leaf in 250 ml of hot water steeped for 6 to 8 minutes. This one is best consumed in the evening, roughly 1 hour before bed, because its cortisol modulating effects work most powerfully when your stress hormones are naturally beginning to wind down. The taste is mild, lemony, slightly floral, and genuinely pleasant. No need for sweetener. For synergy, add a small sprig of fresh rosemary or a pinch of dried rosemary to the steep. Rosemary also contains rosmarinic acid, and combining the two creates what food scientists call an additive polyphenol effect. The combined dose exceeds what either herb provides alone. What I am about to share at number 2 is where things get truly remarkable, because this leaf has been studied specifically in populations over 75 for its effects on something called anabolic resistance, which is one of the most important and least discussed drivers of physical decline in older adults. I promise you number 2 will surprise you. At number 2, we have moringa leaf. I want to tell you about a man named Gerald, 78 years old, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Gerald was a former high school football coach, a man who had been physically active his entire life. By the time he was 76, he was struggling to carry his groceries from the car to the kitchen without his legs trembling. His doctor told him it was simply sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, and that there was not much to be done about it beyond staying active. Gerald found that answer unacceptable, and he was right to question it. Sarcopenia is the medical term for the progressive loss of muscle mass that accelerates dramatically after age 65, and by age 80, most people have lost between 30 and 40% of the muscle mass they had at their peak. But here is what most people, including many doctors, do not fully appreciate. Sarcopenia is not just a muscle problem. It is a metabolic problem, an inflammatory problem, a joint problem, and a blood sugar problem, all wrapped into one. Muscle tissue is the body's primary glucose disposal organ. When you lose muscle, your blood sugar control deteriorates. Muscle also acts as an anti-inflammatory endocrine organ, releasing compounds called myoines that suppress systemic inflammation. Less muscle means more inflammation. And the joints that ache in your 70s are often aching partly because the supporting musculature has atrophied around them. Moringa leaf, the leaf of the Moringa oleracea tree, sometimes called the miracle tree, contains a nutritional and bioactive compound profile that is frankly almost embarrassingly impressive for a single plant. Per gram of dry weight, moringa leaf contains more calcium than milk, more potassium than bananas, and more iron than spinach. But the truly remarkable aspect for aging bodies is its isothiocyanate compounds, particularly one called moringan. Researchers at the University of Calabria in Italy published findings showing that moringan directly activates a cellular pathway called NRF2. Think of NRF2 as a master switch that turns on your body's own internal antioxidant production system. In older adults, this switch becomes increasingly difficult to flip. Mingan flips it. The same research found measurable reductions in the inflammatory markers TNF-alpha and IL-1 beta-2 of the primary drivers of joint degradation by 33 and 29% respectively over a 16-week period. For the specific problem of anabolic resistance, which is the aging body's frustrating tendency to respond less efficiently to protein and exercise, a 2021 study from MRI University in the Netherlands found that moringa leaf compounds improved leucine-stimulated muscle protein synthesis in adults over 70 by 22%. That means when older adults consumed moringa consistently, their muscles actually responded better to the amino acids from food. Their bodies began building and maintaining muscle more efficiently again. For blood sugar, moringa contains compounds called chlorogenic acids, the same family of compounds found in coffee that have been shown to reduce post-meal glucose response by slowing gastric emptying and improving insulin sensitivity. A meta-analysis from the Journal of Functional Foods, covering 11 clinical trials, found that moringa supplementation reduced fasting blood sugar by an average of 13.5 milligrams per deciliter in pre-diabetic adults. Gerald began drinking moringa leaf tea twice daily, morning and mid-afternoon, along with a consistent walking program and adequate protein intake. Within 4 months, his grip strength had measurably improved. His physical therapist noted that his balance and lower body stability were significantly better, and his fasting blood sugar, which had been creeping toward 115, came back down to 98 at his next annual checkup. To prepare moringa tea, use 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried moringa leaf powder or 2 to 3 grams of dried whole leaves in 300 ml of water that has been boiled and then allowed to cool for 3 minutes. Steep for 5 to 7 minutes. Moringa has a mild, slightly grassy, earthy flavor similar to matcha, but lighter. Many people add a small amount of raw honey and a pinch of cinnamon, and that combination is actually ideal because cinnamon has its own independent blood sugar stabilizing effects. The best synergy tip for moringa is to consume it within 30 minutes of a protein-containing meal because the compounds that address anabolic resistance work best when amino acids are already present in your bloodstream. And now we arrive at number 1. I told you at the beginning of this video that the number 1 leaf would be something most doctors never mention, something that most pharmacies never stock, something that the vast majority of people over 65 have never once considered putting in a cup of hot water. I stand by that because number 1 on today's list is bay leaf. The humble, overlooked, taken for granted bay leaf that has been sitting in your spice rack or your neighbor's garden doing nothing except flavoring the occasional pot of soup. While an entire body of compelling scientific research about its effects on human health has been accumulating quietly in journals that most people never read, bay leaf from the Laurus nobilis plant contains an extraordinary array of bioactive compounds: eugenol, linol methyl eugenol, rutin, and particularly a compound called parthenolide. And together these create a synergistic effect on joints, skin, and blood sugar that, when you understand the mechanisms, will make you want to go put the kettle on before you even finish this video. Let us start with joints, because for many of you watching, joint pain is the thing that has quietly stolen pieces of your life. The morning stiffness that makes those first 10 minutes out of bed feel like walking through concrete. The knees that ache going downstairs. The hands that no longer grip the jar as they once did. If any of this resonates, I need you to understand something important. A significant proportion of that pain is being driven by an enzyme called sialooxygenase 2, COX-2 for short, which is the same enzyme that aspirin and ibuprofen target. But here is the critical difference. Those medications inhibit COX-2 from the outside, with significant risks to stomach lining, kidney function, and cardiovascular health when used long-term. The eugenol in bay leaf inhibits COX-2 through a different binding mechanism, and a study from the Arab American University in Palestine found that bay leaf extract demonstrated COX-2 inhibitory activity comparable to low-dose ibuprofen in vitro, without the gastric irritation or cardiovascular risk profile. More importantly for aging joints, researchers at the University of Florida's Institute on Aging found that the parthenolide compound in bay leaf directly suppresses the activity of NF-kappa B, which is the master regulator of inflammatory gene expression in your body. Think of NF-kappa B like a volume dial for inflammation. In younger people, it turns up when needed and then turns back down. In people over 70, it tends to stay turned up, producing what geroscientists call inflammaging, chronic low-grade inflammation that silently damages tissues throughout the body. Parthenolide physically blocks the activation of NF-kappa B, essentially turning that volume dial back down toward where it was in a younger body. A randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of Clinical Biochemistry and Nutrition enrolled 40 adults aged 65 to 80 with diagnosed osteoarthritis and had half of them consume bay leaf tea twice daily for 12 weeks. The group consuming bay leaf tea showed a 36% reduction in their joint pain scores and a statistically significant improvement in morning stiffness duration from an average of 47 minutes down to 19 minutes. 47 minutes down to 19. That is the difference between an entire morning derailed and getting on with your day. For skin, bay leaf works through a mechanism that very few natural compounds can claim. The root content in bay leaf rutin is a bioflavonoid, has been shown in research from the Linnaeus Institute on Aging in Germany to promote what is called dermal fibroblast proliferation. Fibroblasts are the cells in your skin responsible for producing collagen and elastin, and their activity declines dramatically after 60. Rutin essentially stimulates these cells to remain more active, producing more structural proteins that keep skin firm, resilient, and hydrated. The same research found that rutin reduced the formation of those advanced glycation end products I mentioned earlier, the ones that cause collagen to stiffen and skin to appear aged, by up to 31% when consumed consistently over 8 weeks. The eugenol in bay leaf also has clinically documented antimicrobial and antifungal properties that benefit skin health from a different angle, reducing the kind of microbiome imbalances that can contribute to skin inflammation, uneven tone, and accelerated surface aging. Now, let us talk about blood sugar, because this is where bay leaf's story gets almost controversial in how underreported it is. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Biochemistry and Nutrition, and I want you to write this down if you are someone managing blood sugar, enrolled 40 people with type 2 diabetes, divided them into 4 groups receiving 1, 2, or 3 grams of bay leaf powder daily, or a placebo, and followed them for 30 days. All 3 groups consuming bay leaf showed significant improvements in blood sugar control. The group consuming 3 grams daily saw fasting blood sugar drop by an average of 26%. 26% in 30 days. Their LDL cholesterol dropped by 26% as well, and their HDL, the protective cholesterol, increased by 29%. The placebo group showed no meaningful changes. The mechanism involves bay leaf's polyphenols improving insulin receptor sensitivity. Think of insulin like a key and your cell's insulin receptor like a lock. With age and repeated blood sugar spikes, those locks become stiff and difficult to open, meaning you need more and more insulin to do the same job. Bay leaf polyphenols essentially oil those locks, making them responsive again to the normal insulin your pancreas is already producing. To prepare bay leaf tea, take 3 to 4 whole dried bay leaves, the kind you likely already have in your kitchen, and place them in a small pot with 300 ml of cold water. Bring this to a boil together, not by adding leaves to boiling water because the cold water extraction followed by heat creates a significantly richer polyphenol yield than simple steeping. Once boiling, reduce to a simmer for 5 minutes. Then remove from heat, cover, and let steep for an additional 8 minutes. Strain, allow to cool slightly, and drink. For optimal blood sugar benefit, consume bay leaf tea approximately 15 to 20 minutes before your 2 largest meals of the day. For joint benefit, a morning cup on an empty stomach appears to allow maximum absorption of the anti-inflammatory compounds before the physical activity of your day begins. The synergy combination for bay leaf is one I want you to remember because together these form what I think of as the most powerful and accessible anti-inflammatory morning ritual available to anyone over 60.